everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Becca and today I have a romance book haul. So I'm not sure exactly when you guys are going to be seeing this video, but at the time of filming I have literally just gotten back from Edinburgh, where I have been for the last 3 days at a romance book festival. So the festival that I went to was rare. It stands for Romance Author and Reader Events. It's been happening for quite a number of years, at least the last, I want to say 7 years, maybe longer. The festival moves, but it happens at least a couple of times a year. It's typically in Europe, although I do know in 2023 there is going to be an event in Melbourne, and there is typically every year at least 2 events. One tends to be in the UK and the other is usually somewhere else in Europe. So for an example, this year's we're in Edinburgh and Paris. Next year is Melbourne, London and Florence, I think. But it is essentially just a massive signing. Now I know that the one that I've just been to was a little quieter than usual because it is the one that was supposed to happen in 2020 but was pushed back twice because of COVID. So it is generally a massive event with around 200 romance authors, and it's just like a mass signing. There's bookstores where you can buy books. All of the authors have their own stands. You can buy books from some of the authors like actually there at the event. And I have just come home with 13 books, which isn't actually too bad. I could have done way worse damage, but I wanted to meet some of these authors and have books signed, and I didn't have any of their books, so I picked some up while I was there. They did also have a freebie table as you entered where some of the authors had given books to be taken for free. So today I have 7 books that were free. I think 5 of them are like standard books, 2 of them are more like novellas, and 6 that I've paid for. So I think we will start with the ones that I paid for because I guess I know slightly more about them, but some of them are also going to cross over with some of the free ones because they're the same authors. But before we get into that, actually I do have a couple of samplers that I picked up. This one is Filthy Rich Vampire by Geneva Lee Albin, and I believe, because I know that Ashley read this sampler, I went with Ashley from Frolic Through Fiction and she read some of this sampler yesterday, and I think it follows a vampire, or there is instances of this vampire at like different periods in time. And this one is Pack Darling by Lola Rock, and I believe that this one is an Omega verse, so I'll give these a little try, see what I think of them. But the first one that I picked up was The Deal by Elle Kennedy, which was actually on my TBR for April and May and I didn't get to it. I think I may pick this up next, I haven't decided yet, but I'm very close to finishing my current read, as this was on my April and May TBR and I now have a physical copy. I'm thinking that this might be the one. This is a super hyped contemporary romance that I've been hearing a lot about over the years. I know a ton of people love this book, and it is a sports romance where I think the main character agrees to help out the love interest with his like college work. I think it's a hockey romance, and in exchange they have like a little fake dating thing going on to help her make another guy jealous. I don't like sports, which is why I've never read this before, but when I did put this on my TBR, a whole ton of people said that they also don't like sports but they love this series, and Elle Kennedy was super sweet as well. I also met the wonderful Sierra Simone, so I picked up Priest. I didn't know whether I wanted this or A Lesson in Thorns, but they had this at the Blackwell's book table outside, and A Lesson in Thorns I didn't know at the time, but Sierra Simone had for sale at her stand. So I ended up picking up Priest, and the synopsis of this, like I knew it was smart about a priest, which obviously taboo, but I hadn't actually read the synopsis, and when I did, like the end of this really grabbed me. So it says, there are many rules a priest can't break. A priest cannot marry. A priest cannot abandon his flock. A priest cannot forsake his God. I've always been good at following rules until she came, then I learned new rules. My name is Tyler Anselm Bell. I'm 29 years old. 6 months ago I broke my vow of celibacy on the altar of my own church, and this is the bit that I really liked, and God help me, I would do it again. I am a priest and this is my confession. I'm really excited to read this one. When you went to have your book signed by Sierra Simone, she was also giving away a freebie, which is Supplicant. This one, the synopsis is very short. It says, after being left at the altar by her cold and brilliant professor, Church Kaysen, Charlotte Tenpenny had to leave school to take care of her younger brother. But a fateful night brings Church and his delicious drugging kisses back into Charlotte's life, and it stirs up a reckoning years in the making. This one is only 100 pages, so I might be able to squeeze this in because I've just been to the festival, and also because I've just bought a whole whole ton of romance books, seen a whole ton of romance books, spoken to a whole ton of romance authors. I'm in a super reading mood and I just want to binge all of the romance. So you may see quite a bit of that creeping into my June TBR, even though it isn't like officially planned into there. An author that I was interested in from looking up the authors at Rare was Susanna Nix, and the book that I actually wanted to read from her, I have a little postcard here. It's called Remedial Rocket Science, and I believe that this one is a romance between I think it's a bad boy billionaire and a computer geek. I did also make as well, I think it was a couple of months ago now, I made a list of all the authors that were attending Rare that I was interested in. If you want to check that out, like see more of who was there that I didn't end up meeting and books that I didn't end up reading that I was interested in, I will link that up here. But I did pick up a different book by Susanna Nix, which Ashley doesn't like this pun, but I really do. It's My Conan Only. It is the first book in the King family series, and I believe that the King family own a creamery, so like an ice cream shop, and all of the books are ice cream puns. The original one that I picked up was the second one, which was Cream and Punishment, and when I found out this was the first one, I obviously put that one down and picked this one up instead. This definitely like screams standard like fluffy feel-good contemporary romance to me, and the theme, because I read the synopsis of the sequel as well, the theme for this series tends to be that the guys are already madly in love with the main characters, but this one is following one of the King family who is in love with his best friend's little sister, but because it's his best friend's little sister, he doesn't feel like they can have a relationship, and she's also in love with him, but she thinks that he sees her as just like his best friend's kid sister. So they both ignore their feelings for each other, and the female main character inherits a house from her grandmother, and they end up doing it up together, and like tensions rise with all of these bottled up feelings. Sounds like a good time. And then if I do enjoy this, I'm definitely going to end up picking up Remedial Rocket Science, because that was the first one that drew my attention just because of the parallel of a billionaire bad boy and a computer geek. One that I've actually wanted for a while is something by B.B. Easton. I ended up picking up Skin, but B.B. Easton is the author of the book that the Netflix show Sex Life is based on, which I am obsessed with. That is one of my comfort shows. I will rewatch that over and over again. It is about a woman who, I think she's like in her 40s, she's got 2 kids, and she married this guy who's wonderful, sweet, supportive, provides for her, makes her feel safe, and she very much loves her husband. However, in her past, she had a string of relationships with a lot more exciting guys, and after one bad breakup too many, because these guys were exciting but not, they were toxic essentially. They were toxic bad boys, they were hot, they were passionate, but they weren't the kind of guys she settled down with, especially not at the age that she was dating them. So after one bad breakup too many, she met her husband and she settled down, but now she's kind of missing the excitement from the guys that she used to date, and one of them kind of ends up walking back into her life, and it's about her juggling like what she actually wants. Can she live without the passion in exchange for the support that her husband provides, or does she need that more exciting like sex life? So this is kind of a series. It's not logged as a series on Goodreads, but the first book is 44 books about 4 men, and they actually had that at the Blackwell's table on the Friday, the first day of the festival, but B.B. Easton was going to be there on Saturday, so I didn't want to buy the book then have to take it back with me and then bring it back the day after. So I thought that I would just pick it up on the Saturday, but by that time it was out of stock, they didn't have any more. So I picked up Skin as well. So after 44 chapters about 4 men, there are 4 books, one for each of the men, and this one is about a misunderstood bad boy, which I can always get behind. I picked up a couple of books by Andy M. Long, which was included in that TBR video I made, mainly because of the setting of this book. So on the free table there was a little novella for this series which is called Dating Sucks. It's like a 0.5 novella, and when I met Andy M. Long, I also picked up the first book in the series, which is The Vampire Wants a Wife. This series is called The Supernatural Dating Agency, and it is about a dating agency for supernatural creatures. So the thing that actually draws me to this is that it is set in a tiny seaside town called Withensea, which, fun fact, is about 15 to 20 minutes away from where my dad lives, and I don't live all that far away from my dad. So when I found out that these were set in Withensea, I was very confused because there is nothing in Withensea, literally nothing. It's your classic dead seaside town. It's picturesque, it's kind of busy in summer, the rest of the time it's dead. So when I met Andy M. Long, I asked her why she chose to set this in Withensea, and her answer, honestly, I get it. She said because she visited Withensea when she was on holiday one year, and her first thought was only the dead would live in Withensea. I get it. So I'm actually really excited to give these a go. I'm actually going to go to Withensea. I'm glad that these are short, especially this one. I'm going to go to Withensea probably across the next couple of months because I can go down to the beach and it's actually sunny. I'm gonna read these. Andy M. Long did say that some of the locations in these books are actually locations in Withensea, so I'll do some location spotting and that kind of stuff. But honestly, the books just look like fun time. I read a couple of pages of this and I enjoyed the couple of pages that I read. So yeah, I'm excited for a little scenic vlog trip at some point soon. And then the final book that I bought was Starbreaker by Amanda Boucher, which is the second book in the Endeavour series. I have 4 books by Amanda Boucher now. 3 of them I already had. I had read Amanda Boucher prior to going to Rare because I actually interviewed her on my channel last year for Faro Feb. So while I was there and I could get this signed, I picked up the second Endeavour book. This one is a fantasy sci-fi series. I don't know too much about this because the reason why I picked up the first book, which is Night Chasers, is because I really enjoyed the first book in her other series, A Promise of Fire. So I was just enjoying it so much that I wanted more. Picked up the first book and then just took the opportunity to pick up the sequel. So moving on to the freebies, I obviously don't know too much about these. I did read the synopsis before I committed to picking them up, but it was very like spur of the moment at the time, so I don't remember a whole ton about them right now. But the first one I have, I think, oh, we'll go with this one actually because this is the only one that isn't contemporary, but it is Brutal Mate, Planet of Kings by Lee Savino and Tabitha Black. I did have this one signed by both of the authors. This one, I'm a little bit worried about it just because it's aliens, so I'm getting Ice Planet Barbarian vibes, which was just not a good time for me. But this one is about a woman who one evening is walking home from a nightclub and finds herself abducted by aliens. She's rescued by one of the brutal ones who are like the biggest, baddest aliens. So it is like very much Ice Planet Barbarian vibes. The thing that I really don't like about Ice Planet Barbarians is the breeding kink. So it would be very weird if this one also had a breeding kink, so fingers crossed it doesn't. And providing it doesn't, there's potential for me to enjoy it. The next one is a contemporary romance. I think it's new adult, and it is Wicked Beginnings, which is a Wicked Bay novel. So this one is a little bit of a taboo romance, and it follows a girl who moves into her uncle's pool house and she sees the last person she expected to, which is the boy from last summer. It turns out that they're actually related now, so I think he's going to end up being like her, I guess if it's her uncle's pool house, probably like her step cousin. So it's a little bit taboo, but I mean, it sounded interesting. I'll give it a try. And then the last 3 I have are all books by Tracy Lorraine, all contemporary romance, all sounded really interesting. So we have Thorn, which is the first book in the Rosewood High series. This one might have been the one that I'm more interested in, but they all have like bad boy vibes, which is why I was really drawn to them. The first line of the synopsis on this says she's an English rose and I'm about to be a thorn in her side, which honestly is what drew me to this. Just straight away, I knew I wanted to read it. But this one is about like a spoiled little rich girl who ends up at this school and the love interest takes a disliking to her. So I'm getting bully romance vibes for this. I mean, if I looked these up on Goodreads, I'd probably get a better idea, but from the synopsis, this sounds like a bully romance. Once again, a rich girl bad boy romance, we have Hate You. These are all giving me very much the same vibes, and it's super basic, but it's also something that I really enjoy. I love a bad boy romance. This is about a guy who's a tattoo artist, instantly takes a disliking to this rich girl, and I'm assuming hate to love. And the last one is the one with the nicest cover, which is The Revenge You Seek. This one is book 1 in the Madison King's University series, and this one, once again, same kind of vibes, contemporary romance, but in this one it seems like the female main character has done something to the love interest and he wants to make her pay for what she's done. I have no idea what she's done because the synopsis is very vague, but they're all the same vibes, and I really hope that I like Tracy Lorraine because, like I said, they're basic, but it's vibes that I really enjoy. So there you have it. Those are the 13 books that I hauled at Rare. Please let me know down in the comments if you guys have read any of these and what you think about them, especially like the Tracy Lorraine ones, this one as well, ones that I've taken more of a chance on. If you've read this one, because I haven't heard anything about this or Susanna Nix, but it was the cover and the synopsis that drew me in, please let me know down in the comments. Most of these are indie as well, so like the less hyped, I guess. I really did have a good time at Rare. I'm actually looking into possibly going to the one in London. Tickets aren't on sale yet, but it's something that I'm definitely going to keep an eye on because I had such a good time. But I do hope you've enjoyed this haul. If you have, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. If you head into my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish Candle website, the Etsy for that, and a 10% off discount code. So that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.